G'day folks, we are by far living in one of the most confusing times in the stock market. We don't know whether we're coming or going in the greatest technological shift in our entire lifetimes. People are going to make fortunes and people are going to go broke through this. And today I wanted to focus on the GOATs, the people that are inspiring us to think differently about how these changes are taking place. We're going to hear from Cathie Wood. We're going to be talking about the ARK ETFs. We're going to be driving down into Tesla, talking about Monroe Live, a guy with a lot of experience within the auto industry and what he predicts the 2030 auto market is going to look like. We are going to be diving into the crypto markets, listening to Hillary Clinton. We're going to listen to Kevin O'Leary. We're going to be listening to so much. I've drawn resources from TikTok, other YouTubers to kind of collaborate with this video. So consider hitting that like button, folks. And the first and foremost conversation that I want to have has to be around Cathie Wood, because she truly is the GOAT to innovation, in my humble opinion here. And taking a look at the ARK ETF, she has been getting a lot of criticism lately because she is down 30% this year compared to the global broader markets being up much more than this. And she has come out and said a lot. She's come out with a lot of opinions that we're going to hear about in a second that I think are very fruitful. But taking a look at the ARK ETF itself, guys, Tesla's still the largest, holding at 10%, but we got Coinbase, Unity Software, Teladoc, Roku, Zoom, something that I'm interested in right now. I've been really analyzing Zoom because I use it a lot, and it is down a hell of a lot, making it a much more appealing dip buy right now. Same with, with Shopify, I think, is back at all-time highs, but we got Spotify, Square, Exact Sciences, and just taking a look for the first time ever, because the vast majority of her stocks are getting clobbered right now, guys, somebody introduced something called SARK. That's the ticker symbol for it. And what it does, I've never heard of an ETF like this in my life, or a stock like this in my life, that tracks the inverse performance of a stock, which is crazy, right? Because I don't know if they're doing options here. I don't know how they're pulling this off, but it is a one-for-one inverse stock. So basically, we take a look at the 1 month here, guys. Take a look at the ARK ETF, just getting clobbered going down. Take a look at the 1 month SARK ETF here, guys, doing the exact opposite, right? Really intriguing stuff for those of you that want a little bit more risk, if you want to play the short-term speculation and what you think Cathie Wood's portfolio is going to do. But what I want to do is hear from her, because she recently has been going on this slam across CNBC, kind of reiterating her new feelings around the holdings in their portfolio. And I got all of this from Dave Lee Investing. I highly recommend you check his channel out. I had to give him credit because this is where I pulled the source for my information from. So I'm just taking it straight from this video. You'll see his face in the corner, but just take a listen. This is awesome.
My worry is more for them than for us. I get very unsettled when I see people selling at what I know are bargain basement prices. Just to give you a sense of that, we do 5-year forecasts for EV to EBITDA, and we assume massive multiple compression from this moment on to 5 years out. So all of our stocks, or most of them, will have FANG-like multiples, which is a mature growth company. With that assumption, we at our peak in mid-February, we were able to say that our portfolios would deliver, if our estimates are correct, a 15% compound annual rate of return over the next 5 years, so double over the next 5 years. With this correction and with some of the increased estimates we are now using, based on fundamentals, not at all on valuation, we now see a quadrupling over the next 5 years in our portfolio. So that's a 33% compound annual rate of return. I have not seen it higher than this than one other time. And I believe it was the beginning of 2019, right after the 2018 meltdown in the fourth quarter. I think that number was 42% at a compound annual rate. So our optimism and confidence has increased in here.
So Cathie Wood is predicting that they're going to 4x their portfolio due to the way the industry is going to be rapidly evolving, the fact that they're already trading down so much. And a lot of her opinions, I think, are beautifully stated, because we're going to come around when we start talking about crypto toward the end of this video, but you're going to hear about how Uber disrupted the taxi network, and people missed the opportunity because they looked at the total addressable market of, say, the taxi network, and they're like, well, Uber can't get that much bigger, right? But they didn't realize what a technological shift it was and how it created a whole new infrastructure surrounding the way we order and use taxi networks, right? And Cathie, I think, sees that directly when we're talking about a lot of different companies, one in particular that we're going to talk about now being Tesla, a huge proponent, the largest stock in my portfolio right now. And Tesla being one of the most controversial stocks out there, guys, I got most of my love, most of my passion behind this company's business through somebody named Monroe Live. Well, that's the channel, Sandy Monroe. The channel's Monroe Live. And he recently just dropped a 40-minute kind of opinionated video, put together all these slide decks on where he thinks the market in the auto industry is going to be by 2030. And this guy worked for GM. The auto industry is in his blood. He gets paid to tear apart cars. And recently his opinions have drastically changed toward the US OEMs. And taking a look, guys, he threw up a slide about 42 minutes in where he discusses by 2030, he suspects Tesla's going to own about 35% of the market. And he thinks that China, if they globalize, is probably going to own the vast majority of the other shares here, but these are just general predictions. And honestly, I think he's understating this. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla ends up owning about 50% of the auto market by 2030 in the US. And again, this has happened in the past. GM used to own 50% of the entire auto market. This is very speculative. It is left up to your own opinion, but please take a moment, whether you like Tesla or not, do yourself a history lesson with somebody that has way more experience than me. Come to Monroe Live and watch his thesis. It is absolutely mind-boggling, which makes me want to shift to the topic of probably the most controversial, of course, being Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people have been coming out recently, Hillary Clinton, Kevin O'Leary, and a lot of other people, and I've kind of collaborated from a lot of TikTok videos and put something together that I think is really going to show you how I don't even know a word, kerfuffled, the way people look at this market is. So just take a quick listen. It's really interesting.
On the horizon that people are only beginning to pay attention to, and that's the need to regulate the cryptocurrency markets. Because imagine the combination of social media, the algorithms that drive social media, the amassing of even larger sums of money through the control of certain cryptocurrency chains. We're looking at not only states such as China or Russia or others manipulating technology of all kinds to their advantage. We're looking at non-state actors, either in concert with states or on their own, destabilizing countries, destabilizing the dollar as the reserve currency. There are so many big questions that the Biden administration must address. I just don't think we have much time. And therefore, I hope from everything I'm hearing from them that that's exactly what they're going to try to do.
I want to be paid in crypto. And that is a huge change in, the way I've been thinking for a long time. I have do not give me dollars. The idea of meme coins, Dogecoin, for example, just to have some fun with it. How can you own Dogecoin and not own Ethereum? Are you basically saying you only support dogs and not cats? There's 100 million cats in America. So you got to own some Ethereum. Now, is that preposterous? Absolutely. But I own Ethereum because I'm a cat lover. If you're buying Dogecoin, you're pissing off 100 million cats. I'd be very careful.
Name one asset that you can think of where the physical version is not bigger than the digital version. So the easy examples are shopping, all that type of stuff. Taxis. Uber, the reason why most investors missed Uber as an investment opportunity is they compared Uber to the total addressable market of the taxi industry. Well, that was actually the wrong analysis.
That's really interesting.
Because the digital version of taxis ended up actually not owning any cars. And it was a market expanding technology because it didn't just eat taxis. It didn't just eat black cars. There are millions of people in the United States who are young, who don't own a car, and they Uber everywhere. What ends up happening is the opportunity or the addressable market expanded drastically with a digital version of the analog. If you look at gold's market cap's about 10 trillion. Bitcoin today is 1 trillion. I fully believe that Bitcoin is not only going to drastically eclipse gold's market cap, but it'll be a market expanding technology. If you ask me right now how to go buy gold, I couldn't tell you.
Agreed.
I'd have to call a broker or go on a website or, and I'd have to figure it out. I don't know how to do that. Myself and most digital natives know exactly how to buy Bitcoin.
I just picture going on Dragon's Den, when did that show come out? 5-10 years ago, and pitching these ideas to Kevin O'Leary the way he pitches them today. A guy that used to be about dividends and cash flow, now talking about, altcoins and Dogecoins. And it's absolutely staggering to me here, guys. But I think what they touched on throughout all these different videos from, Hillary Clinton saying, the Biden administration isn't appreciating the stabilization of what these cryptocurrencies can do. And honestly, I really think she touched on something that makes me love the most about the cryptocurrency market, and that is it is the first and true market that is 100% based off supply and demand. Yeah, there are some big whales in there that can manipulate the prices, and that comes with the true idea of a fully, autonomous market that can't be manipulated. I mean, the stock market's manipulated. I mean, you're taking a look at the currency market. They dumped on 40% of the US currency reserve in 1.5 years. Like, staggering. Like, every market, the real estate market's highly manipulated. Yet cryptocurrency is a true supply and demand market that cannot be shut down, that can't be centralized or controlled by the government. If they offer regulations, I think that's only going to even prove more about how this is completely disconnected from the control of a supply and demand market. I think it's a beautiful thing, and it makes me relatively bullish on the Bitcoin price. However, I'm not telling anybody to go out there and buy anything. I had a great discussion with someone from my chat group asking me what he thinks he should do with his Tesla position. It is very large, and I told him that I live in a waiting game. Look, I look at fundamental businesses that I truly believe have this disruptive technology that is going to create these new asset classes, and I can tell you they're overvalued, undervalued, whatever. To me, I don't care. I play a waiting game. I pick the best business models I think that exist. I buy into them, cost average into them. If they get too big, I weight them down, and that's about it. I'm going to hold these things into the long. Like I said, in the midterm here, I'm very bearish on these markets. Things are extremely volatile. Hyperinflation is nuts. Logistics and supply constraints still haven't worked themselves out. So in the macro, I'm looking for more deals to come up. But again, I have my exposure to these companies. And when the bull market picks back up, I'm thinking we're going to see that in the next 2 to maybe 5 years, because as soon as supply constraints work themselves out, take a look at the money Apple and Tesla are drawing in right now, even though we're seeing a huge reduction in almost every business. I got an email today from Starlink, and they literally said, sorry, we can't ship you your product, even though I ordered it a year ago, because they can't get silicon chips. And I'm just looking at the demand for these businesses, and I'm like, damn, what happens when we finally get to the other side of this and there's no constraint and they can fully fill this demand? I think we're going to see the next explosive in this cycle of this technological bull market, and that's why I'm always going to be long. But as I mentioned, guys, I'm still making a nice healthy cash position, and I'm taking a look at a lot of these downtrending stocks right now. I might buy back into ARK. I used to own it till I got into my corporate account, so I'm looking at buying ARK back. I'm looking at things like Zoom. I'm looking at the technologies that I use and I feel out and I have a good understanding of if I'm buying them as an individual stock. But there are always opportunities out here, guys, and I think things are going to get a lot more interesting over the next coming months. So let me know what you think in that comment section below. Stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you tomorrow